Hey there guys, it's Metro, and this is a video I promised you guys. Day 1 Blizzcon is over, and I want to summarize the news and give my opinions on it. And in the background, you're going to see my Demon Hunter, leveling my Demon Hunter. Since the dungeon tank tier list I made there, a lot of people said that I didn't give Demon Hunter a lot of credit. Others said I gave them too much credit, so I don't know. I figured the only way to find out for sure is to actually level 1 and gear it out equally to my DK, and then I'll be able to compare the two side by side. But anyway, let's talk about BlizzCon. So, some announcements were made at BlizzCon today, obviously, and I predicted a few things that certainly did not come true. So, yeah, I predicted that in the previous video. If you want to watch that, you can. I don't really have time to go over that again, but we will talk about the things that actually were announced, all right? So, I had started with Starcraft, predicting that they were going to remake Starcraft as well, and they did not. All they announced for Starcraft was some playable, like I don't know. I know almost nothing about the game, so it's really difficult for me to actually figure out what they announced. Some kind of like patch for the expansion, I guess, like the rest of the missions or story or something for that, and some kind of like playable character or something. I don't know anything about the game. But the other thing they announced was this like some dude from Blizzard, some like Spanish dude from Blizzard came out or from Google came out and said that they're working with Blizzard to like create an AI that's gonna learn from StarCraft 2 matches. And then Mike Morhaime was like, yeah guys, so you could help this AI by simply playing the game. And like, it's like, yeah, there's probably like very few people playing that game right now. So anyway, I guess that was kind of a cool deal. I don't think anybody would have predicted that. We made the joke that if the AI could beat Harry in World of Warcraft, then we'll take notice of it. But for now, anyway, so that's a weird thing. I don't really have much of an opinion on that game. I have no interest in StarCraft. I hate sci-fi, to be fair. Everybody always thinks that's weird because I love fantasy so much, but I absolutely dread sci-fi. So I had never interest in that. I was really hoping there was going to be a Warcraft 3 announcement, and there was not. There was absolutely no Warcraft RTS announcement at the first day, at least. I don't expect there to be. I don't know what kind of panel could be even happening tomorrow that they would announce something like that at. So I'm very disappointed in that. I really thought that this would be the year for a remake of the Warcraft RTS, but if it didn't happen this year, I feel like it will never happen. So unfortunately, I think that's probably dead in the water. Next up, we did Hearthstone, I think it was. Hearthstone was a new expansion type thing. It's got like, I don't know, they made this big deal about Gadgetzan. I don't understand like what they were after with that. I don't know if there's actually going to be missions as well. To be fair, I didn't take a hard look at it. But it was really weird because they showed a picture of classic Gadgetzan. And I was like, maybe they are doing legacy servers. It's really weird. There was like 3 things on that main announcement that really made me think they were going to talk about classic World of Warcraft. But so yeah, it's like more packs. I think it's like 153 new cards, something like that. They've already announced a few of them, and there's like 3 guilds within like the expansion in some way. I don't understand that either. I'm not sure how it works, but it's like you can play as them, I guess, and use. Or no, I guess you use their cards, and they can be used for any of 3 classes. So there's 9 classes, so 3 guilds. So it's like mage, warrior, and something like DK or something like that. You know, those 3 classes. Anyway, not too hyped on that. Like I said, Hearthstone is kind of really. I've lost interest in the game entirely. There's just too much new shit constantly. Like they keep releasing new stuff they have to buy, and that's not for me. I would much prefer to have everything be something that you could eventually earn with gold, but I would have to play so much to be able to earn everything that I would want to earn with gold in that game that I can no longer play it, unfortunately. It's a great game if you have money to spend on it, but it's getting to a point now where I would have to spend hundreds of dollars just to be able to play the game out the way I want to play it, and that's just not fair. That's not how any other video game out there operates. I know it's not mandatory and it's not anything like that, but if I had to play hundreds of dollars to be able to play World of Warcraft, you know, on top of the purchase price of the expansion, right? So like the sub fee plus the purchase price and then extra money on top of that just to be able to play like heroes, or I don't know, it's just silly. So anyway, I'm not a big fan of that, but regardless, that's the news there. So kind of indifferent on it. I was hoping they were going to try to reinvent the wheel there, but I guess that won't happen. And then Heroes of the Storm, which is a game that I kind of gave up on. I talked about it in the previous video. It's a cool game, but yeah, I just, like I said, it's really disappointing. I should have talked about this after Overwatch because they announced something at Overwatch that they should have fucking announced for Heroes. But this really conveys to me that they have given up on this game, which is sad. But anyway, they announced 2 new heroes, which were previously data mined apparently. So we got Ragnaros, which was part of the thing I was talking about with the classic thing. So like Varian, there was a really, really cool trailer for this actually. Varian, like, recently deceased, and they were talking about, like, over the voiceover was like him, he's never going to die, etc. He's always going to be with us kind of thing. It was a really, like, actually well made. I was really impressed by that. And then he's fighting Ragnaros, so I was like, Ragnaros, you know what I mean? Like a classic WoW, like, I don't know. So it's really bizarre. But either way, those 2 are the new heroes coming to Heroes, so I guess it makes sense. Ragnaros looks pretty cool. He could, like, inhibit, I think it's like his passive, he, like, inhibits a keep or something like that, and then he becomes big. I guess he becomes strong as well. So that's kind of cool. He's like a good defender for something like that. I'm not too hyped on that game right now, but maybe there's also a new, like a play mode. It's like weird objective based. I think they're calling them brawls, like basically trying to like cross all these games over at this point. Not a big fan of that. So then there's that, and then they also, for Overwatch, announced something that I think they probably should have announced for all the games. And maybe, to be honest, maybe they will at some point. I don't know. But they announced a league, basically like LCS, right? Like League of Legends equivalent to that. They like pay, they have like a league, a minimum salary. The teams like form up through the game properly now. So previously, like I think in all Blizzard games, they were just kind of like a third-party system, which really sucks, I think. People were talking about this today. I didn't even think about the gravity of it, but yeah, they basically just put all those other companies out of business, which is kind of disastrous for them, but I don't know, man. I think it's the right play. You don't have Major League Baseball. It doesn't get played by like random third parties, who control the ticket prices and all this shit. It should be ran by Blizzard, and this is what I've been saying about Heroes of the Storm for months now. They needed to do this for Heroes, and they probably needed to do it for Hearthstone as well. Hearthstone needs a tournament, in-game tournament package type thing, where you can play randomly, spectate tournaments and stuff like that. And they need pro funding, like pure pro leagues and stuff like this. If these games had this, these games would be triple as popular as they are now, and they're already quite popular. So I think that's it for the side games. There was no Warcraft film announcement. I was expecting that. I was expecting Warcraft 2, some kind of teaser for that. So maybe that'll come tomorrow, but I highly doubt it. So let's get on to the actual World of Warcraft stuff now. So it should be noted that all the World of Warcraft stuff was held for its own panel. Not a single thing World of Warcraft was announced in the opening ceremony. Pretty much everything else I talked about here in this video was in the opening ceremony. I watched the panels as well, but there was very little new information. So I think that kind of puts things in perspective. We got pretty much huge info dump. I think this is the most information we've ever had at one period of time about the future of an expansion. We still don't even have Nightfall. Just puts that in perspective, which will be coming in 2017 very early. It's probably in the next 2-3 months. Well, 3-4 months, I guess. But now we already know about patch 7.1.5. Very, very much like a minor patch, but still bringing a lot of things. So we're going to get micro holidays. That was kind of like the most interesting thing, kind of like a one-day really interesting event. It makes sense. I don't really like these one-day things because if they fall on a Tuesday, I have no time for them. We were raiding on Tuesday. And if they fall on a weekend, I have to do other things. I mean, if they fall on a day when I have to work, I just can't participate. So I really don't like the one-day thing. I think that's a really big issue if you're going to actually spend time making these. But it's some cool thing, like you can be a guard or you can go do a bunch of AQ shit in January 22nd. So I'm going to actually look that up, what day January 22nd is, but I have a feeling I won't be available for that. So unfortunately, that sucks. But Mists of Pandaria Time Walking, probably my favorite announcement about 7.1.5. Mists of Pandaria is my favorite dungeon set ever, mostly because of challenge modes. And they are only doing the 6 ones that were actually in Pandaria, so they excluded the 2 Scarlet Dungeons and Scholomance, which were cool at the time, but yeah, definitely do not want to go back and do those a third time. And let's see what else. There was something else, wasn't it? Oh yeah, the Blade's Edge Arena reboot, like they redid like the visuals on Blade's Edge. That actually looked amazing. That was a really visually stunning thing. And then Artifact Knowledge catch-up mechanics, purchase levels without waiting up until level 10 or more. So that's good, very good for 7.1.5. Patch 7.1.5 is going on the PTR directly after BlizzCon, so I guess that means Monday they'll start working on it. And I could have swore there was something else. Oh yeah, the talent rebounds. That was a big deal. They said they're going to be able to like completely rebalance talents. Oh, and Brawlers Guild, of course, Brawlers Guild. So yeah, Brawlers Guild's coming back. So you could look forward to us covering Brawlers Guild on the PTR when that comes out. So that's really cool. 7.1.5. I'd imagine this will coincide with Nighthold, because if they're going to rebalance talents, they really either need to do it well before Nighthold or the same day as, because if you do it late into Nighthold, like a few weeks in, that would be really fucking stupid. So I imagine that's where we'll get it. And then we got even more information. So 7.1.5 is a smaller patch. 7.2 is Tomb of Sargeras, a full raid tier. So one thing that they mentioned, of course, was the raid itself. It's going to have 9 bosses broken into 4 wings, varying architecture. And we are going to be fighting Kill Jaden and an avatar of Sargeras. So that's really cool. Those bosses obviously are iconic, but I definitely am a little bit skeptical of 9 bosses. That's a pretty small tier, considering even Hellfire Citadel, arguably, you know, like a mediocre raid in the scope of World of Warcraft, had 12 or 13. Yeah, 13. So I don't know. I hope the raid's pretty cool, but regardless, the patch itself is amazing. New faction, new order hall stuff. Like, I guess what they're saying is like paladins are gonna work with each other. Now, they made it sound like the Horde and Alliance can't come together to do this, but classes can. So I don't know if that actually means like I'm going to be able to play with Alliance Paladins as a Horde Paladin. I don't know. Legion Assaults are changing like world quests. Like the Legion itself is going to be assaulting the zones. So that's kind of cool. Going to have to claim a foothold in the Broken Isles as well, like the actual Broken Shore. And by doing like building a base and planning the assault, similar to Isle of Quil Danas. Now, you're going to be able to choose which building you build, and apparently that's going to change the way you progress. So I don't know if that's server-based, like Quil Danas was. I assume it isn't, based on what they said, because otherwise, if you missed a week or two, you'd come back and all 3 would be done. You know what I mean? So you'd have missed all of that. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. And then there's a new dungeon. Now, that's probably the coolest news. It means they are going to keep doing dungeon stuff. And that's going to be, I think it's like a 4-boss dungeon with Mythic Plus fully enabled. So that's great. They're also going to change a lot of dungeon things. They're going to be scaling up Heroic and Mythic dungeons. Now, that is something that's a bit worrying to me. How are you going to get gear? I guess they're relying on world quests, or maybe there won't actually be like an item level to queue for heroics or something. But if they scale all of that up, then you're going to hit, say, 110 with like 810 item level maybe-ish. And then those dungeons are going to drop, what, 865 maybe? 870, something like that, based on, I don't know where they're going to start. But yeah, so what are you going to do in between? I don't know. And they're also going to break up, what's they say? I don't want to misquote things, so I keep reading, but yeah, I don't know. There's just too much information, honestly. Karazhan is going to be broken up into 2 wings, and you're going to be able to do a heroic version of that as well for some fucking reason. And then they're also going to make that Mythic Plus, so there's going to be like, what, like 13 Mythic Plus dungeons, I guess? I don't know. That's pretty nuts. I guess there'd be 11, 12? I don't know. Either way. Yeah, there's a lot of dungeon stuff coming in 7.2, which probably will be like late summer, I'd imagine, based on how this is going to go. They've also said shit about PvP, which I literally could not give a fuck about. They talked about like brawls, which I really don't like the idea of, but it sounds kind of cool in PvP. So yeah, the South Shore versus Terran Mill, 100 v 100, or I think it was like 40 v, I don't know. Either way, it's a lot of fucking people. Warsound Gulch, capture the flag without requiring your own flag. That's stupid. Packed House, 15 versus 15 in a traditional arena. Could be cool, I guess. Winter Arathi Basin. Now that one is amazing, because that really blurs the line here, what they can do weather-wise. About like 4 years ago, a friend of our, Meoni actually, the guy on Ace Games, he used to like data mine stuff, and he found a he called it Snow Wrathy Basin. In fact, I think if you type that into YouTube, you might find his video on Ace Games TV, Snow Wrathy Basin. And for some reason, this was hinted at like before MoP came out. So I think they've kind of been thinking about this for a really long time. But the cool part about this is very low visibility due to weather, and the water is frozen. That's a big deal, guys. That's a really interesting look at what they can do with weather in this game. So I'm pretty excited for that. And then apparently Eye of the Storm with everyone on ram mounts. So I don't know, cool stuff. But and there's going to be more artifact stuff, which people are already fucking crying like little casuals about. What a surprise. Oh my god, now I have to grind Woke Quest for another year. Yeah, you don't. You just need to learn how to play the game. But anyway, new types of relics as well, modifying 2 traits. Continuing your artifact quest line, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, and this is the coolest part here. So, yeah, new cosmetics for the artifact weapons. Those are all on MMO Champion. I'd encourage you guys to check it out. But, yeah, it's like player challenges, like individual spec challenges. I hope. Hopefully, it's not individual class challenges, because if that's the case, then some specs are going to be better than others. But anyway, I'd imagine it'll be a challenge that's relative, like very difficult, kind of like the green fire, I'd assume, is what they're after here from MOP. So that's cool. And then, but they did kind of make this, that there will be a 7.2.5, and that 7.2 will be coming to the PTR immediately after 7.1 is ready. So, I mean, we're looking at like 3 months and we'll be seeing 7.2 stuff on the PTR, I assume. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah. And then Quarter Stars and Arcway. And then new Keystone affixes. They showed this thing where like every time a mob dies, it explodes, and people were like reacting really weird to that. But I guess that had something to do with Mythic Il'gynoth. I don't know. We haven't started working on that. But anyway, that's everything for 7.2. And then 7.2 onward, we're talking about going to Argus. So I did correctly predict this. I'm glad I did so, because a really, 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 really cool idea. So think about this. They just told us everything else that we talked about, and that was a really brief summation. It's over 2 hours, I think, almost the panel. So you should really watch it if you have access to it. And then Argus, a freaking whole other planet, right? An entire planet in just a patch into another raid tier. So I'd imagine this is going to be the best expansion ever. I mean, I don't know how anybody could say that. And just capping that off, there was no mention of legacy servers. In fact, somebody actually screamed out when he's like, what could possibly become after 7.2? Where could we possibly go? And somebody screamed out, legacy servers. And I was like, one guy in a crowd of like thousands of people screamed it out. And I was like, dude, you really should feel alone right now, because after all that, you still want fucking classic. I mean, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I would play a classic World of Warcraft server because it's a very different video game. It feels a lot more like an RPG to me. But after hearing all that, I am so ready for Legion, man. It's unbelievable how much fun I'm already having. And with all this info, Jesus, man, it's going to be the best expansion yet. It's really just so good. And all of this stuff is really scaring me how good it is. It's like there's going to be too much to do. And he even made a joke. He's like, I'm sorry for all you guys who hate content, but this is a bit scary. All right. I have less and less time to play, a lot of effort going into these videos. I don't have time to keep up on all this, man. I don't have 40 hours a week to spend on this game. And there's almost too much to do in the game. So it's like stuff I will literally never see. But hey, you know what? It's good for the game, man, so fuck them if they can't take a joke. And on the other side, Nostalrius commented that if Blizzard does not announce something tomorrow on Saturday's part of BlizzCon, that they will have an announcement to make. I assume that means they're reopening. I think everybody at this point assumes they're reopening, with or without Blizzard's boon. I was really hoping that Blizzard was going to just give them their boon. I think that would be the best thing for everybody. If Nostalrius could just reopen and could be fucking done with it at this point, because I'm sick of the nonsense. The people who are still hanging on to that community are literally the worst of the worst. They're just scum fucks. They all think everything that Blizzard does is cancer, like literal cancer, not even the colloquialism that people use as cancer. Like they think that Blizzard is infesting the world with their products. People are saying like, oh, I'm glad I didn't buy anything from Blizzard in the last 6 years. They didn't announce anything legacy. Well, you are a very entitled, very casual probably as well. And the sad part about that, people who play the game at that level, who think like, oh my God, the only version of World of Warcraft that could ever be considered good is classic World of Warcraft. Those people are so fucking inept at the game that they would never even be able to complete anything in Legion, which is the sad part, right? Blizzard has made so much effort to make those people feel welcome, and then they still sit there and trash the game. And I guarantee you, those are the kind of people that it takes them like 15 days to get to 60. All right. I do 1 to 60 on private servers in 5 days or under played. Okay. That's how you play the fucking game. You know how to do it. You do it right. These guys are the guys that are sitting there in level 38 RPing. You know what I mean? And it's really embarrassing to hear their opinions because they have no idea what they are talking about. And they are literally like, there's so many people like that on the live WoW community as well. It's really an embarrassment to the video game systems in general. These developers are spending so much time. Just BlizzCon alone must have taken them hundreds of hours to coordinate. And there's people out there who are like, these guys are idiots. I hate them. They're not smart. That's the thing. I've seen so many people call them, degrade their intelligence. I hate to fucking break it to you, dude, but they're about 600 times smarter than you are. I guarantee it. Go apply for a job at Blizzard and see how you fucking get laughed at because you're a 17-year-old from some European country with no education. You know what I mean? Good luck. It's just pathetic. It really is pathetic. But regardless, I would love to see Nostalrius come back online. I'm going to be playing the fuck out of Legion. You can guarantee that. I'm going to enjoy every minute of it, but I also enjoy some classic World of Warcraft. So anyway, that's everything. Tomorrow there might be another video coming up. Probably going to do like what we learned from the World of Warcraft Q&A. I'll do that. So if anybody has any questions or anything they want me to touch on, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching and see you guys in the next video.